Hey. Hello, dear students. I welcome you all on behalf of Sri Jayendra Rangjun classes. Dear student, in the previous class, we have already started a chapter that is Morphology of Flowering Plant. And in that chapter, we have already initiated the introductory part and some of the information about the root. And in root also, we have studied the structural and functional aspects and the different types of root system. And in that, we have studied the taproot system, fibrous root system, and the adventitious root system. Today, we are going to talk about the modification of this taproot and adventitious root, and for which function they are getting modified, that we need to understand. So, to understand that, the modification of root. So, what are the root modifications? So, that is a change or deviation occur in structure of root. The generally what a change or deviation occur in the structure of root to perform a new function. For what this change is occurring? For the performing a new function. And the new function is needed to be performed to survive or to adjust in suitable for the surrounding environment. So this is a change or deviation occur in a structure of the root to perform new functions which are suitable to the surrounding environment are called a root modification. Root in some plants change their shape and structure and become modified to perform a function other than absorption and conduction of water and mineral. Actually, absorption of water and minerals is the main function, one of the main function of root. But apart from this, they perform a several function by the changing in the shape and structure. They are modified for the support or storage of food or a respiration or climbing. Such type of several function can be performed by the modification. So in this, first we are going to talk about the taproot modification and then we will discuss the adventitious root modification. In taproot modification, dear students, first taproot are modified for the storage of food. So they are known as storage roots or a storage taproot. So roots are modified to stored food material are called a storage root, and the root becomes swollen due to the storage of food. And when the storage of food occurs, the root are going to be get swollen. If we take an example of this different taproot modified for the storage of food, in case of carrot, turnip, and radish, this type of stored taproot, food storing taproot are found. So plants with the storage root are called root crops. Means their edible part is going to be root, so they are known as root crops. So when we talk about the different modification of taproot for the storage of food, first we are going to understand the conical roots. And when we discuss conical roots, we take an example of carrot because the shape of carrot is cone. So they are cone shaped roots are found in carrot. And the scientific name of carrot is Daucus carota. Okay, so they are cone shaped because of this example is kept in conical roots. Another one is a radish. Radish is an example of a fusiform root or spindle root. Fusiform roots or spindle roots. In this radish, the scientific name is Raphanus sativus. They have a spindle shape like this. You can see that is a bulging from the middle side. It is tapering at this end and it is somewhat narrow at this particular end. Then it is named as spindle shape. So spindle shape stored taproot are found in case of the radish. And this fusiform of spindle cell root are thicker in the middle. This fusiform root, if we talk, are thicker in middle but tapering on both ends. Okay, so such thing is seen. Apart from this, the another root are beetroot that is known as Beta vulgaris, a scientific name of the beet. In beet, the napiform roots are found. Napiform's root are bulging at one end and the tapering at the another end. So in napiform root, the root gets swollen and spherical at the upper end, whereas tapering or thread-like at the lower end. And the example is the beetroot, that is Beta vulgaris, and that is also known as sugar beet. Another example of this is a turnip. The scientific name of turnip is Brassica rapa. Okay, so store food in the taproots. Apart from this napiform, another type of taproot modification for the storage of root are found that are known as tuberous root. And when we talk about a tuberous root, then this root do not have a regular shape. They are of so these roots are of irregular shape, are of irregular shape. Okay, and any portion of root become swollen and fleshy, and any portion of root becomes swollen and fleshy. So that are tuberous root and they are found in the plant that is known as Mirabilis jalapa. Okay, so that are tuberous root. After tuberous root, the taproot modification of storage root is found in another form, and that another form is known as nodulated roots. When we talk about nodulated roots, in these nodules are formed on branches of root by nitrogen fixation. And when it is formed on a branches of root by nitrogen fixation, root by nitrogen fixation bacteria actually. And this nitrogen fixation bacteria are nothing but rhizobium. So these nodules when found on the root branches that root type are known as nodulated root and that are found in case of plants of Fabaceae, subfamily of leguminous family, found in plants of Fabaceae, which is a subfamily of Leguminosae family. Okay, so that are the nodulated roots. After nodulated roots, the next type of root which taproot modification is pneumatophores. Pneumatophores are nothing but a respiratory roots. So these are mainly for the respiration. Okay. So if they are known as respiratory roots, they are mainly modified, taproot here modified for the respiration. So what happens in this? Many roots come out of the ground and grow vertically upward. Actually, roots are going vertically downward, but here root grow vertically upward, and such root are called a pneumatophores. Actually, they grow vertically above the soil, and these are found in mangrove plants. And why they are growing vertically upward? Because the mangroves grows in a salty area. When they grow in a salty area or saline area, the availability of oxygen get reduced for that root, and without oxygen they cannot perform a respiration. So to get oxygen, the root arise from the root branches, and they grow negatively geotropically, obliquely upward, and they come outside the soil, through which they get an oxygen. So it is known that they help to get the oxygen for the respiration. Now, what is meant by a mangrove plant? Plants grow in a saline, swampy areas with low oxygen content are called mangrove plants. So in this mangrove plant, these pneumatophores are found. And to understand that, we are taking examples. So if we talk about some of the examples of the pneumatophores, you can see such type rhizophora is it. You can see this is all are the pneumatophores. Okay, and it is found in a mangrove plant that is rhizophora. And in rhizophora, there is a pneumatophores are the particularly found in rhizophora. This is another example, Avicennia. Apart from rhizophora and Avicennia, another two examples are there of mangrove plant, that is Soneraceae and Heritiera. These all mangrove plants show a presence of this mangrove plants. Okay. Now, dear students, one more thing I want to make you understand here is that when any branch in this mangrove plant start growing below the soil, it comes sometimes above the soil like this, and that are known as pneumatophores. When you see this is above ground, okay, ground is here. On this pneumatophores, you will find some pores. These pores are known as lenticels or pneumatothores. And these pneumatothores or lenticels actually involved in respiration or exchange of gases. Okay, and through this they perform a respiration. So this way, in pneumatophores, the taproot get modified to get oxygen. And here these pneumatophores are negatively geotropic. After such type of taproot modification, now we are going to talk about adventitious root modification. And when we discuss this adventitious root modification, we know that adventitious root are not arising from the radicle, but they arise from the plant part other than radicle. And here we are going to first talk about a root which are involved for the storage of food. So here in this modification of adventitious roots, first we are going to discuss the root which are involved in a storage of food, and that is a tuberous root. Now, if we talk about this tuberous root, these are adventitious root modification, and that are also meant for the storage of food. Actually, these tuberous root are of two types: simple tuberous root and the fasciculated tuberous root. Simple tuberous root means only the base, this is a stem, here the base or root get swollen and stored food, and a leaf is present. And such a way you will see that this particularly storing of food. And this is the example of sweet potato whose scientific name is Ipomia batatas. So in this, the simple tuberous root are found. So they get swollen and irregular, and they do not have a definite shape. But when we talk about this simple tuberous root, when such type of root come in group, it is known as fasciculated tuberous root. And fasciculated tuberous root, the adventitious root here occur in cluster, occur in group, and all of them are swollen. And that type of fasciculated tuberous root are seen in asparagus and dahlia. See here, this all are swollen. So it is example of fasciculated tuberous root in asparagus and dahlia. So you can see actually more importantly this one. Here only one is there, that is in sweet potato. But when they are in a cluster, you will see the fasciculated root tuber in dahlia. Apart from this, what could be the hanging structure that support a banyan tree? The next question which come in our mind, that in banyan tree, that is Ficus bengalensis, what is the hanging structure which we see? So we can answer that it has a prop root or pillar root. So let's understand what is prop root and pillar root. So when we talk about this, it is known that the horizontal branches of the stem of the plant give rise to the aerial roots. Actually, these are adventitious root and they are arise from the horizontal branches of the stem above the ground. And this aerial root grow vertically downward and they act like pillar. And due to this, they provide a function. If we take, they provide a mechanical support. So you can see this is the prop root or pillar root of banyan tree. And they are growing from the what a branches. Okay, see, suppose this is the banyan tree, this is the branch. From branch another root arise and which can grow the soil. Then this type of root are nothing but a prop root or pillar root. Another, and what is the function of prop root or pillar root? That is, you can say, mechanical support. The banyan tree, the scientific name, if you talk about banyan tree, then it is Ficus bengalensis. Okay. After this, next we are going to talk about another type of root which help for the mechanical support, and that are stilt root or breast root. If we talk about stilt root or breast root, what are they? So these are also adventitious root modification, but this adventitious root come out from the lower node of the stem. Whatever the lower node which are present in the stem, from that this stilt root or breast root are going to arise. They provide mechanical support to the plant with weak stem, and they are found in case of the maize and sugarcane. So they are known as, the examples are of this particular type of root are found in maize and sugarcane. See, you can, this is the stilt root actually. This is the sugarcane. It is the lower node. This is also some of the lower nodes, and lower nodes you will see the obliquely downward roots are rising. This all obliquely downward root are the stilt root, because when we take any plant and we tie it from the all side with such type of root, this weak stem can stand in a vertical position. So these are the stilt root. So the function, if we talk about the stilt root, that is also a mechanical support. The scientific name of maize is Gia maize, that you know. Apart from this, the stilt root are also found in case of the pandanus. And this pandanus is also known as screw pine. Next, after this, the type of root which we are going to discuss, and which is a modification of adventitious root, that is a velamen root. Now, these roots are found in some of the epiphytes. Epiphytes means space parasite. Epiphytes means space parasite, means they are dependent on another plant only for space. They are not going to dependent for the nutrition to the another plant. So the space parasitic plant or space parasite are known as epiphytes, and one of the example of this is a vanda. And this vanda is also known as a orchid. Now, if we discuss further, then what are epiphytes? So these plants that grow on the other plant and they for the space purpose. So in this plant, the adventitious root are specialized to absorb moisture from the atmosphere. Means if they are not going to depend on the another plant for the from nutrition, means they are able to synthesize their own. So they absorb moisture from the atmosphere and they synthesize their own food. So examples in which these velamen roots are found or epiphytic roots are found, that is the vanda or orchid. You can see this is an orchid which is growing on the mango plant and they having a velamen roots. See, these velamen roots are also known as epiphytic roots. And when we see this epiphytic root in the space parasitic plant, and if you draw the structure of this velamen root, and if you see the cross section, in a cross section you will see that they have specific type of tissue here which absorb the moisture from the atmosphere, and that tissue is known as velamen tissue. So due to the presence of velamen tissue in the epiphytic root or velamen roots or space parasitic roots, and because of this velamen having a water absorbing capacity from the moisture, they are the specialized roots, that is velamen root. After this, another type of root which we are going to discuss, that is a hostorial root. Now here, hostorial roots are also known as sucking roots or parasitic roots. So they are also known as sucking roots or parasitic roots. Means they are parasitic, means they are dependent on the another living plant. So what are hostorial roots? The roots which help in absorption of water and food material from the host plant. They are going to help to absorb this from the another living plant. So they are also called as parasitic root, and these are present in parasitic plant. The parasitic plant which develop this type of root are known as parasite, and they can be dependent on the another plant for both water and mineral, or they can be dependent on another plant or host plant for any one of them. But the parasite can be partial parasite or complete parasite. If partial parasite, they are dependent on the another host plant only for any one thing, either it is mineral or water, or either it is a food. And if it is complete parasite, then it is dependent on the another host plant for both water and mineral and food. So if they are partial parasite, they send hostorial root or a parasitic root or a sucking root into the xylem of the host plant and get water and minerals. The example of such partial parasite or incomplete parasite is viscum. And this is an incomplete stem parasite. It is a dependent on the another plant or host plant and send their hostile or sucking root to the xylem of a stem and get limited content. So it is known as incomplete stem parasite. These are the hostile root. Another is the striga, which is an incomplete root parasite. Means the plants, its root penetrate, the hostile root penetrate the root. So it is known as root parasite. Some are complete parasite, means they are dependent on the another plant for both water and mineral and food. So they send their hostile or sucking root into the both xylem and phloem to obtain both water and food from the host plant. And such example, if we see, then the hostile root you can see here, they are sending there particularly to get all food, and the cuscuta is seen, that is a complete stem parasite. Another example of Rafflesia, which is a complete root parasite, means it is dependent, it sends its hostile root to the root of the host plant and get all the nutrient. So such way the complete parasite and partial parasite are seen, and the examples also we have discussed. Apart from this, next root which we are going to discuss, that is the nodular roots, which we have discussed. The small spherical shaped structure appear on the roots of leguminous plant. The bacteria inhibit the root system to fix atmospheric nitrogen by forming a nodule. So we have discussed this nodulated root, and that is carried out by the rhizobium nodule formation. And this rhizobium shows symbiotic nitrogen fixation, and that is found in the members of family Fabaceae, that also we have discussed in detail. But that is a nodulated root is a taproot modification. Another photosynthetic root which we are going to discuss. If you talk about a photosynthetic root, they are the adventitious root. They are not arising from the radical, but they are modified to perform photosynthesis. So here root are performing a photosynthesis, so they are known as photosynthetic root. The photosynthetic is also termed as assimilation, so they are also called assimilatory roots. These roots are green colored due to the presence of chlorophyll, and they synthesize a food. If we take an example of this, then Teniophyllum is seen. In Teniophyllum, you will see that it is particularly synthesizing their own food. Roots are synthesizing their own food. Okay. Apart from this, another examples which we seen in case of photosynthetic root, that are, so examples are Trapa and Tinospora. In Trapa, if you see, which is also known as water chestnut, then in this the roots are submerged in the water, so the submerged assimilatory roots are found in Trapa. But another example is Tinospora, and this Tinospora, if we talk, they have aerial photosynthetic root. Okay, so that is the photosynthetic root. Apart from this, if we talk about another type of root, then we come to know that after this root, next type of root that we are going to discuss. So another type of root are clinging roots. These clinging roots are also known as climbing roots. So this clinging or climbing roots, if we talk, they are non-absorptive adventitious root that arise from node in case of tecoma and betel, or from internode as in case of the ficus primula, or from both node. The example is juvenile stage of ivy. So such a way this particularly clinging root or climbing root develop. So this clinging or climbing root help in climbing. If some weak plant is there and if it to reach the height, then it can use the another stem of another plant, and by clinging on this, by attaching on this, it is can reach to the particularly height. So it is helping in a climbing. So they are known as climbing root. So the function of this climbing root to help in climbing of such type of plant. After clinging root, next we talk about the adventitious root, that is floating roots. If we talk about this floating roots, these are found in aquatic plants, and these are the white spongy roots which arise from branches and they help in floating and respiration. Suppose this is the aquatic plant, and here this particular plant is growing. And such type of plant is growing here. Here you will see this particular branch develop into white spongy root, and this root are known as floating root, which helping them in buoyancy or in them floating and respiration. If we talk about the example, these are seen in aquatic plants, and the example of this aquatic plant is Juicia. Okay, so these are the floating roots. After floating roots, next we talk about another type of root that is known as epiphyllous root. This epiphyllous root arise from margin of leaf lamina. Suppose this is the leaf of a one known plant which have a epiphyllous root, that is bryophyllum. Now bryophyllum at its margin they have bud. With this bud, sometimes this leaf fall on the soil, and when it fall on the soil it get a nutrient and it starts germinating. When it starts germinating, it develops some of the roots here, and that are nothing but which one? Epiphyllous root. So this epiphyllous root are found in bryophyllum. What is the function? So they helping in the vegetative propagation. So they help in vegetative propagation, okay, or reproduction. And after this we are going to talk about the last type of root, that is the reproductive roots. If we talk about reproductive roots, then they are the fleshy adventitious root, means they store food. So it will be writing fleshy, and they are playing a role in vegetative reproduction. So if we talk about such example which have a reproductive root, then they are nothing but sweet potato and dahlia, because they have, particularly we can say, a bud over them, and that bud help in the vegetative propagation. Okay, so this is the different modification of the taproot and adventitious root that we have discussed, and here we end the all discussion about the root. Now in the next lecture we are going to discuss about the another vegetative organ of a flowering plant, that is root. Till that, thank you everyone.